I'm here today at Jean-Marc Lalonde Arena. Though ice no longer floods its surface, this rink is not forgotten, much like the sport of roller derby in Ottawa. I'll take a look inside to see how one team utilizes this space.
When I feel it, it just feels amazing. Like everybody experiences their first game, and that's when they just feel, there's something called a derby high, where after your game, people just feel like everything's awesome, and I've felt that pretty much in every game. And I think that's what brings people back to the sport, like despite injury, despite it being a huge commitment, like freezing cold arenas all year. There's just something to be said for doing something so physically demanding with a team. You just feel so, you never thought you could do it, but you can do it. So it brings a lot of people back. So it's really fun. It's really powerful.
Roller derby traces its origins to the multi-thousand-mile skating races of the 1930s. Today there are 3 derby leagues in Ottawa, built on the traditions of the sport's past. Katrin Dahl thinks it's roller derby's past practices that are important in supporting the sport's success.
The important part about maintaining sort of the history and the culture of roller derby is that it can be legitimate in itself, even though it's kind of like this weird thing, and that we don't have to make it like sort of streamline or make it like every other sport in order for it to be considered a legitimate sport.
At the heart of Ottawa's roller derby community is Dolly Rogers captain Mel Taylor. Her derby shop, Neon Skates, helps fuel the sports culture in town.
It wasn't long before I realized, like, this is actually pretty cool. I want to do this. I want to go all in. And so I quit my job and I started running the store, and it's been an amazing decision.
While serving the sports community, Taylor has noticed that classic skating is making a comeback.
All of this kind of retro stuff is becoming mainstream again. So I think it's a culture and a sport and a community that I'm really happy is growing and accepting more and more people into it, because I think it's awesome. I love the community. I love getting to meet all of the different players and leagues all across Eastern Canada. I take the van out to Moncton twice a year, and I get to meet all of the East Coast players. So it's just exposed me to a community that I love, and a job that's still, like, it's still stressful wanting to provide good quality products, but it's what I love, and I love spending hours and hours in the workshop just building skates, and so it's a really good fit for me.
Those immersed in the sport are familiar with regular change. In the modern era, the focus has shifted from fashion and flair to performance and athleticism. Derby athletes expect this to continue.
The side of derby that used to be a little bit more like costume-based and persona-based has really kind of shifted towards, this is a sport and we're athletes and we want to be taken seriously. So I think there's going to be a continuation in that direction.
I come from a sports background, so I never was interested in being labeled like a roller derby girl. I just want to play a sport that I really like.
But I truly hope that, in fact, there's an element of the grassroots sort of building of the sport, so that the sport continues to be sustainable, because we can't all be the best athletes in the world. And actually part of the appeal is that you don't have to be. You can also work towards being the best at the sport that you want to be and having a place for you to play.
For roller derby in Ottawa, the future looks wide open.